letter, she said, I'm a radical feminist lesbian. I thought, what would the Queen Mum do? She said, are you intimidated by my sexual preferences? I said, no, and I'm not too struck with your donkey jacket either.
This is the river resident ladyboy of the house speaking. Come inside for one of my candlelight suppers, my dear, especially if your name's Emmett, but Onslow, you can stay away. Naughty. Oh, my darling, another one bites the dust. Another legend, in all seriousness. Our dear Dame Patricia Routledge has kicked the bucket, or should we say the bouquet. What an absolute star, and what an absolute lady. By the way, I've got some very harsh and stern words coming up in this broadcast for Prince William. Yes, I shall be holding forth, and I will not be holding back. So hold on to your hats. But we will start on this bitter-sweet subject. Bitter because it's a death, but sweet because it was a long, beautiful life. 96 years old, a queen of the theatre. She was, Dame Patricia, and I've told you many times that viewers are always reminding me that there's a little bit of whiff of the old hyacinth about me from time to time. Well, I won't have my candlelight suppers disparaged, and you don't go interfering with my Sheridan, do you understand? You might enjoy it. But I know, because you've told me, how beloved keeping up appearances is abroad, in America, and throughout Empire and way beyond. And it's a credit to Dame Patricia, who was born in 1929. She was born Catherine Patricia, and she debuted in 1952 as an actress at the Liverpool Playhouse. And she worked extensively with the Royal Shakespeare Company and had such a prestigious career before finding fame at the age of about 60 years old as Hyacinth, that we all came to know and love, and then later Hetty Wainthrope and all of this sort of thing. She was made a dame back in 2017. That was for services to entertainment and charity, and her mentor, in fact, was Alistair Sim, the late, great Alistair Sim. And she said, from him I learned that comedy is instinct, and that once you try to discuss why a laugh is dying, you kill it stone dead. She never married, she never had children. There was an affair or two in her past with married men, but she died peacefully in her slumber, which is all anyone could wish for, isn't it? Surrounded by love. A marvellous woman, a marvellous career, and a life well lived. Dame Patricia. Now, somebody else who was awarded a damehood about 20 years ago was Sarah Mullally, and it appears that Sarah Mullally, or Dame Sarah, is a successor to Justin Welby's almost 12-year stint as the Archbishop of Canterbury. And Dame Sarah is going to be the first female Archbishop of Canterbury in history. And for those abroad who might not understand the importance of this, she will become the 106th Archbishop of Canterbury, which is the most senior bishop in the land and a principal leader of the Church of England, as well as the ceremonial head of the worldwide Anglican Communion. In the kingdom, the Archbishop of Canterbury is a very big appointment and a very big deal. It's up there, my dear, it's up there with the King, almost, and the Prime Minister, you know. The first Archbishop of Canterbury was Augustine of Canterbury in the year 597, just to give you a time frame there to put it in perspective. The official residence of the Archbishop is Lambeth Palace, and Canterbury, by the way, lies about 60 miles east of London in the county of Kent. And Sarah Mullally's election was announced after being approved by the King himself in his capacity as head of the Church of England. And Dame Sarah becomes the Archbishop of Canterbury legally at a ceremony in Canterbury Cathedral in January next year, and this is going to be followed by formal enthronement attended by royalty, so we've got all of that to look forward to. As I mentioned, Sarah was made a dame 20 years ago in recognition of her former role as Chief Nursing Officer for England and an outstanding contribution to nursing and midwifery. Now, she could be mistaken for Prince Harry here, couldn't she, before that beard of his grew in? But I assure you that it is not Prince Harry or Jimmy Cranky. Now, as for my reaction, well, I'm going to tell you, my dear, many of us have been hoping for less of the knee-bending, reparation-indulging, woke-infused hectoring that's been sensed, to put it mildly, within the Church of England in recent years. This sense of the apologetic, which is rather unhealthy, and a bit of wokery going on, to put it very mildly. Some of us are very sick of all that. So some out there will already be objecting to the fact that a female bishop has been elected. Others think that her desire for inclusiveness strikes the right tone for modern worship. I don't know enough about her convictions at this stage, but I must declare a bias in her favour simply because I've met her. I met her last year, and I've heard very good things about her from people who know her very, very well indeed, including one of my dearest and closest friends, who was baptised at the Temple Church last year by Sarah Mullally. You know, I keep wanting to call her Sarah Doolally. I actually mentioned it to you, and I actually gave you a tour inside of the Temple Church because I'd been there through my friend a few times in the run-up actually to her christening last year. And Sarah was, and I think still is, serving as Bishop of London as part of the Temple Church. And I distinctly remember thinking at the time of meeting her and just discussing her with my friend that there was every likelihood that this role would be for her as Archbishop of Canterbury. She seemed to be a wonderful candidate for it because she has such a nice energy. She has a very calming presence, a really good energy, a lack of ego, if you will. She speaks well from what I can remember. And I'm going to flash up the photograph that was taken by me on the day of my friend's baptism. I shall hide her modesty. Most of my friends have got their heads screwed on, so they're publicity shy, my dear. But yes, that's the photograph I took there. Dame Sarah is looking really rather lovely there. And so I was in the extraordinary position, thanks to my friend, of being in the vicinity of an Archbishop of Canterbury in the making, and able to have a little drink and a chat together with her. And as I say, found her really quite delightful. I don't know what the future holds. There might be things I'm in agreement with regards to her outlook, her vision for the church, or not. We shall see. So I'll hold fire on all of that. But for the time being, I have to confess to you that, female or not, I did grin very broadly when I saw the news pop up. In all honesty, I will tell you, regardless of her leanings, I think that the Church of England needs a staunch, small c conservative. I don't care which way they vote politically or lean in that respect, but a small c conservative that has a little bit of fight and fire inside of them. And I'll be interested to see how this new chapter forms. Now, on to the subject of Prince William, who has been appearing in this documentary with the guy who I realise where I recognise him from, not Schitt's Creek or whatever it's called, but I recognised Eugene Levy from Splash. Do you remember that rather wicked character, Walter Cornbuth in Splash? Yeah, that's where I remember that face. Actually, I think he's got more handsome with age. I don't know if he's in the autumn or winter season yet, but actually he's more attractive than he was in his spring or summer, isn't he? See, the season turns and it affects everyone very differently. William arrives by scooter in this piece, which is a fun way to get around the castle, isn't it? Very novel. Of course, it depends what one wants from monarchy and from the future king. Now, on one level, it's lovely to see a prince who is so approachable, if that's your fancy. You know, we get the impression that William and Catherine, I'm sure, are an inoffensive couple. Very nice, very, very nice. Dressed like geography teachers. They're relatable. And those dreaded words kept... I know I sound like such a bitch. Just bear with me, darling, okay? This is a bitchy broadcast, so get over it, okay? Get the fuck over it. I'm not here to pander to the bland. Get the fuck out of here if you're bland. Do you understand? So, yeah. That said, those dreaded words kept coming up from William. Authentic. I want to be authentic. Well, you know what I think about people that want to be authentic. Because we talk about them when we speak of Meghan and Harry. going on and on and on about authenticity, don't we? And as I've often said, it is the likes of Anne that just are authentic. They never discuss being it, or approaching it anyway. It's the fashion, isn't it? I think he's been hanging out with Stephen Bartlett a little bit too much, but he wants to be authentic and he wants to create that other dreaded word, impact. Maybe if Harry is resigning from his position as Chief Impact Officer, then Big Bro Willie can shuffle along and join him. Now, if that pleases you, bland as it is, I'm not contesting it, okay? So we don't need to have a debate about it. You do you, I'll do me. That's why you come to me, to hear my views, presumably. Because I'm not here to espouse anybody else's. I know most of my fruits understand this and enjoy it, but just for the odd sour fruit that passes in casually and doesn't quite understand this is my playground, now's the time to furnish you with that information. Do you understand? Yeah. So I'm not contesting your views, but a sovereign to be, we hope, should absolutely adjust to reflect him or her and their style, and if that's boring, so be it. But monarchy has survived because, like the tree, it has firm roots, a girthy trunk that that's a bit too Big William-esque, isn't it? But a thick trunk that that is pliable. Oh dear, this isn't going the way that I wanted. Well, perhaps it is. A pliable trunk and branches sway in the breeze of the moment. Do you see? Firm roots, branches and leaves in the zephyrs of the zeitgeist. That's how monarchy has survived and had great success, with those leaves that shimmer in the breeze. But for me, and I'm speaking for me, I cannot say that my appetite has been whetted by all these revelations and this conversation and this oh-so hail fellow well met appearance. It's all very introspective, isn't it? It's all very James Middleton. Zero mystique. Goose egg. Zero mystique. Daylight is not just thrown on magic, but seems to evaporate magic into mist. William does emphasise the importance of tradition, so that's very good. All is not lost. He wants to create a world in which George is proud of what they do and wants him to do a job that actually does impact people's lives for the better. Well, we can all hope for that, but let's not forget the Duke of Edinburgh Award. Let's not forget the Prince's Trust, the King's Foundation, Poundbury. I could choose a trillion tapestries from the life of Charles, especially in his role as the Prince of Wales, where he was hanging around waiting to be king for nigh on 72, 73 years. I thought there was just a modicum of impertinence about all of this wanting to actually change people's lives for the better, because that's what royalty has been doing for a very long time. But I get his drift. I get his drift. What he's saying is that he wants to do this differently in a new way. And I have no problem with that, because water stagnates if it is not allowed to flow like a river. So I completely understand that. Every king's reign in history, every sovereign's reign, has had its own flavour. But I do have some reservations. He says, I think it's safe to say that change is on my agenda, change for good. Not overly radical change, wonderful, but changes that I think need to happen. Curiouser and curiouser, but he's got us all wondering, hasn't he? And I will be delighted if he proves to bring in changes that electrify us all and have this authentic impact that he's harping on about. I think William should follow his gut, and he appears intent to do so, whether or not I approve of that. So I'll be following with interest, but I have a word of warning. And I know that the Walesers watch this show not just because they sincerely did discover my show through my montage of Johnny Thompson. Yes, indeed, as I've told you many times, some of the Queen's companions watch this show, but also Catherine's been watching. Have you noticed she's been wearing her hair exactly as I've been suggesting lately, up and out of the face? Yeah, it all starts here, but I have a word of warning. Darling William, you know how much we adore you and how much I think you are fantastic, and your wife. But this is for the institution as a whole. Bore us at your peril. Hear this. Hear this. Royalty survives and it flourishes because it provides escapism. And it furnishes the imagination. It bolsters patriotism. International interest. So much huge interest in tourism. Globally, you know. It's what they all want, isn't it? To come and see the castles and the palaces and the kings and queens and the jewels. And as the Duchess of Sussex did actually understand, our darling Meghan, as she will tell you, it gives the world a spectacle. And no, we didn't especially like the context in which she wraps that up, but she was actually bang on the money and right. The world does expect a spectacle. They just don't expect you to begrudgingly give it to them with private, secret so-called wedding ceremonies with the Archbishop of Canterbury, was it at the time? Yeah. Let's see if Dame Sarah would have any of that. Well, it is the stuff of fairy tales, isn't it? Royalty, the royal family. It goes back centuries, millennia. So strip the glamour of it at your peril. You know, being authentic and having impact on people is all very well, but it's more for influencers and the CEOs of Better Up. All that sort of jazz, you know, and Centre Barley. Is that really what, or all we need? You know, in 2025, the world's in danger of becoming very worthy, very earnest, and in danger of forgetting about the joy, the incitement, the sex. And I don't want drama and scandal for William and Catherine in the way that parents experience, that they have experienced on such a grand scale. I don't wish that for them. I wish for them peace, but I want them to have fun, and not in just an earnest sort of way, do you understand? To play with the role and accept their destiny as king and queen consort, because the numbers within the royal family are falling drastically. It's no secret. Falling drastically. It's very top-heavy, isn't it, with seniors at the moment. They're all so beloved, but they've begun dropping like flies. We just had one recently, didn't we? Duchess of Kent, and there's going to be more on the way, isn't there, in the not too distant. So it's looking very empty, down, down, down in the lower branches of the tree, isn't it? Especially with Sussexes out. Nobody to do their bidding, nobody to run around the kingdom pressing palms, being seen to be believed. Very important, underestimated duties. And all of these royals did in the past, you know. Alexandrina, the late Queen Victoria, was it 9 children she had? Forgive me if I'm wrong, but a great deal of children. They did that, one because so many of their kids died in infancy anyway, so you had to sort of be prepared for all of that. But, you know, she was shooting them out like ping-pong balls, darling, wasn't she? No wonder she missed Albert, because I mean, they were getting up to all sorts of hokey-cokey in that short time frame, weren't they? We all know what she missed. And it wasn't just his company, but, you know, she proliferated is what I'm saying, and she made sure that for decades to come there was a smorgasbord of royals, minor and major. Some names that people have never really even heard of, you know. I mean, how many of you really, other than the most avid royal watchers, know anything about the life of Princess Alexandra? Well, I know some of you do, because you will have watched my special broadcast that I made on it, and would have learned that way. But at one time she was one of the most famous, dazzling women in the world. Not so much over the last few decades, but she just got on with the job, and it was so important. It was like the undercurrent, these characters running through the family, these eccentric characters, which will be very much missed. So they're not going to have any extended family coming along to make things interesting. And I know that you might dismiss this, but I actually think this is a huge factor as well. There is no gay appeal for the royal family. No gay appeal, zero camp appeal. There's nothing camp about it anymore, is there? I mean, we don't even see Marie Christine, darling Princess Michael of Kent, anymore. They don't even wheel her out to bring a little bit of sauce and a little bit of joy and a little bit of bitchiness. You know, there's no camp appeal, you know. You used to have a little air of a real-life dynasty about it, didn't it, my dear? And the old Joan Collins. You know, Catherine is very sophisticated. I wouldn't change her at all. Do not misunderstand me. She's a flawless royal. But there is a lack of a certain kind of characters. You know, the Princess Margaret Rose is the late Queen Mother, the late Queen Elizabeth. Oh, it's such a mouthful, isn't it, all of this shit. The late Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Get all tongue-tied, my darling. You know I'm talking about the Queen Mum. There is not one gay icon left. I know people fancy Big Willie, but, he's not that sort of icon. No camp appeal. And if you think I'm being glib, you underestimate the power of the gays. You can ask Madonna, you can ask Barbara Streisand, or Lady Gaga. It goes a long way. First the gays latch on, don't they? And the drags and the trans, they latch on to everything first, and then it's swiftly followed by the female besties. The girls and the gays, the fruit flies, the fruits and the fruit flies, they all grab it, don't they? They grab a slice, they're into it, and then eventually, the others, start stringing along, don't they, and start following, having an interest. But without the gays and the girls getting hooked into all of it, and the drama, and then the glitz and the glamour and all of this, no one else follows on. They don't give a shit about it, darling. So you better start entertaining. If you think I'm being harsh, well, I am, and it's for good reason, because they better start listening to me, because no one's going to give a crap about the royal family if it becomes utterly boring and you have 2 geography teachers hugging dogs all day and making an impact. That's all marvellous, but I, for one, will be switching off. And I won't be the only one. We had no tiaras at the last coronation. What have we got to have at William's coronation? No crown? Is that going to be too much? Too white privilege? Are they going to just say, well, we'll just put the crown on the throne next to us and it'll be a symbolic gesture, but we're not going to wear the crown. I sincerely hope I'm wrong there, my dear, but these kind of ideas are the things that are put past the likes of our Etonian prince. Where is the splendour? And we've still got plenty of it, don't get me wrong, and it's reassuring to hear that he still has a respect for tradition, but we're in danger of having King William the Worthy coming up, and I've no doubt that King William the Worthy would make a fine king, but I do hope that we are going to have some fun. If monarchy was in fact to reach its conclusion over the next few decades, as some people think it might do, or even sooner, then it would be a great shame to see it sort of pootle off with an apologetic little whimper. I'd rather that it went with white furs, ermines, glittering tiaras, fans, some eccentric snobs. Yes, I said it, some snobs. Some good old-fashioned snobbery, some hyacinth bouquetery. Yeah, absolutely, just a dash, just a wee dash. Eccentric characters, and a big royal fuck you to finish things off. I'd prefer that than an apologetic whimper, but that's just me. We've got a fantastic male king. We've got a fantastic male king on the way, and then after him we've got another fantastic male king, which is all wonderful and all fantastic, but for me it's boring. I need a fierce queen, and I'm missing the injection of more feminine touches coming up on the way. We have our darling Sophie, our sterling Anne, and all kinds of duchesses, but we don't have much coming up other than darling Charlotte. And it would be quite nice, actually, if Prince George very happily decides that kingship is not his calling. Don't want any misfortune to befall him for the stupid out there. But, he can happily wander off, do his own thing, and then we'll have Queen Charlotte ascending. That would be something, wouldn't it? Well, I'm going to remain open-minded about the whole affair, but it's a tough time. It's a tough time for William and Catherine over the last few years, and I understand that they have been embracing calm fortitude and healing. I get it, truly I do, but you can't be, William, like the ordinary bloke next door. You might be able to act it out and have the odd moment, being the guy sharing a pint down the pub. You can do that. You can have those experiences, and you do have those experiences, but you can't be like everyone else. By dint of your birthright, your royal birthright, you are one soul of billions on this planet, plucked out by the golden galaxies to reign as the king. Do you hear me, boy? Plucked, one soul by the golden galaxies, one soul of your generation, to be king of the United Kingdom and all her realms, of empire and beyond. So I urge you, own it, love it, and have fun with it, boy. But don't you dare bore us with it. Do you fucking understand? As for the Princess of Wales, she delighted everybody, trotting around in a suit by Bella Freud, the Earl jacket, with Prince of Wales check and a McQueen knit. She wore navy suede heels and a brooch of the Royal Air Force Wings, because there she was at RAF Coningsby in her role as Royal Honorary Air Commodore, and she met with personnel and she learnt about ongoing operations. She was shown a Typhoon aircraft, which provides quick response protection for the kingdom's airspace. And after trialling the simulator, Captain Paul O'Grady, that's a name for you, isn't it? Not that Paul O'Grady, I'm afraid. Our Lily Savage isn't back from the dead. But Captain Paul said she seems to be a natural pilot. And there was a very enthusiastic crowd of admirers, waving flags and brandishing buckets. Oh, sorry, bouquets. It was such a tonic to see Lady Gabriella pop up, our darling Ella, after a very traumatic time. We haven't really seen her much over the last 19 months since she was widowed, but she received rave reviews appearing at the 25th Annual Foundation Gala at the Plaza Hotel, New York. Doesn't she look exquisite? Maybe we should, if she's able to, after her time in quietude, maybe we should roll her out on royal service. Should be wonderful, wouldn't she? Absolutely marvellous. Bring some glamour into proceedings, and I bet under Princess Michael of Kent's tutelage she wouldn't give up the old ermines and furs and a few diamonds. She's got the wardrobe, hasn't she, to go through? She's got Princess Michael's wardrobe to go through. Let's get her out. 400 guests were there raising funds for the Brazil Foundation, and the gown was by the Brazilian brand Pat Bow, and it was a turquoise affair with a floral corsage. And I was looking over photos of that darling Tommy of hers, who sadly died. What a handsome chap he was, wasn't he? Oh, I thought he was so beautiful looking. Really lovely, really handsome, sadly missed. And here are the Tindalls out and about having fun. Boozy time as usual. Zara was in this Violetta puff sleeve bow dress by Rebecca Valance, made with periwinkle crepe. And she was toting a sunrise sunset clutch by Aspinall, and she was wearing silver court shoes by Dune. Oh, I loathe Dune. I think they are so naff. And she accessorised with Mickey Dear, who was in black tie. This was at the Langham Hotel, as I say, a boozy affair, a charity dinner for Deborah. It was the great chef's 10th anniversary dinner, in fact, and it marks a decade of fundraising in support of those living with the rare genetic skin condition epidermolysis bullosa. Ooh. Well, umbongo, we drink it in the Congo. And I'm sure that our golden trophy, Sophie, does too, because she was in the Congo at the request of the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. The Duchess of Edinburgh was in the Congo to witness the devastating impact of the ongoing conflict, particularly on women and girls, and to meet women peace builders who are working at the grassroots level to highlight their work supporting local peace initiatives. The Duchess has been a global champion for the women, peace and security agenda for many years, and she's got such a skill for forming bonds so fast, stirring fellowship with all ages, nationalities and creeds. She is an absolute natural at it. She attended clinics and a safe house for survivors of sexual violence, looking over their methods for holistic care and all kinds of support. And here's the Duchess of Gloucester. I wanted to show you our dear Kitty Gloucester, looking so natty, I thought, in this Max Mara affair. This two-piece, a boucle jersey jacket with matching skirt. I thought it was delicious. She was in Sheffield for Music in the Round at the Lyceum Theatre, and also she was at a scissor maker's called Ernest Wright that were established in 1902. And she was presented with a brooch. I did notice that she had a little bit of lipstick on her teeth on one of the photographs, but then I thought perhaps it's blood. Some of you have said that she's got a sort of vampiric look about her. Well, don't come out of your coffin too soon, Birgitta, my dear. It's still daylight, and it's not Halloween yet for another 3 or 4 weeks. The King has been at Dumfries House in Scotland, celebrating the King's Foundation's 35 Under 35 network. This initiative is designed to recognise the creativity and innovation of young leaders working across a wide range of disciplines. His Majesty took a symbolic look inside a time capsule, created to commemorate the work of the Foundation, and the items included a pair of secateurs the King once used in the gardens there at Dumfries, and the capsule will be buried with instructions to be opened in 100 years, offering future generations a glimpse into the legacy of the King's Foundation. Is that enough impact for you, Prince William? I thank you for the pleasure of your company. Stay fruity and always on royal duty. Channel the royal spirit. And toodle pip.